And David longed, and he said, "Oh, that one would give me a drink from the wells of the water of the Bethlehem." And he said this out loud. And there were 3 men who heard what he said, and they said, "We'll do it." So they fought through the battle lines and brought him back a pitcher of water. And David was so overwhelmed. I mean, he was humbled by this, because these men had literally put themselves in jeopardy to do something for a person that they loved and respected and were willing to lay down their lives for. Well, I'm talking about things that King David had to learn on his way to becoming king of Israel. And God growing and maturing all of us to that point of to be able to fulfill God's mission in our lives. But what the lesson that I believe that came across very, very clear here is that truly none of us fully understand the full impact of our influence on other people. And there are times when there are people who would never consider themselves really to be a leader. They just wouldn't. But yet, without their knowing it, they're having influence in people's lives, and people's lives are being impacted because of the life that you live. And that can be for the good, and that can be for the bad. But I can think of people in my life who had tremendous influence in my life and helped set the course of my life. Pastors, business people, teachers in my life, people who I've met and gained great respect for them. And in many ways to pattern my life after their examples and their leadership. And there's also the reality that you can have influence in people's lives that you never meet, that you never shake hands with, you'll never eat a meal with them, probably never even be in the same room with them. But yet, the life that they see from the example that you might set or that I might set will have influence in their lives. And I can think of things, there have been television shows that had that type of influence in my life. And fortunately for me, I think most of them were positive. And to say that's a good example that I will follow in my life. And of course, reading the scriptures and reading the Gospels, then I would say that Jesus Christ has had a tremendous influence in my life, and the things that he teaches, and the life that he lived, and examples that he set. There have been preachers, there have been missionaries, and I said people that I have met along the way. Well, David was that type of a man who had that type of influence, and here was 3 young men who were willing to lay down their life in order to be able to bring him something that he just kind of said unwhelmed, but they were ready to die for it. And I think that it's important that we take note of this and that realize, even though you may not be aware of it, somebody is watching you. It may be somebody very, very small. We have to make sure that our lives are lived in such a way that it's a positive influence, because of the tremendous power of observation. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.